brothers remove the head coverings, all sisters pray with the heads covered. We face the east towards Jerusalem. Elder Mikhail, can you go ahead and open us up with prayer?
Heavenly Father, Yahweh, most holy, which you covered, Elohim, Abraham, Meshach, Yaakov, sovereign Elohim of all there is, Father, that you have created and every will be created, Father Yahweh. Give you thanks and praise, Father, for allowing us to make it together, Father Yahweh, for your Rosh Chodesh, Father Yahweh. 10th month, Father, as my brothers are saying, Father Yahweh, this is the opening of winter, Father Yahweh. We give you thanks and praise, Father, for allowing us to worship you, Father Yahweh, and to hear your holy word that may nourish us, Father Yahweh. Give you thanks and praise, Father Yahweh. We hope, Father Yahweh, your word goes through the four corners of the world, Father, that they may be nourished also, Father Yahweh, and follow you, Father, in Yeshua's holy and mighty name. Give you thanks and praise, Father, in Yeshua's holy and mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
So now we change the number. No, this was there on that one. On this one. Something's down there.
That's not good. Well, a little bit.
Never wanted to catch. Stick out.
Oh, snap. What? From behind, I thought you was Wesley, and I was like, oh, we got Chronics in the building. Then I realized it was Junior Gang. Damien Junior Gang.
All right, shalom. My name is Yadon Yashara, my brother Yanta Yashara. Shalom. And we are in our Rosh Chodesh, which is the head of the month, new month. We are in our 10th month, and the title of today's class is Wisdom from Above. Wisdom from Above. And today we got a very good example of some of that earthly knowledge versus the spiritual knowledge. We know that in this book and in the ancient books, we are given instructions of how to calculate a month. You know, we're supposed to use what the servants in the sky are, you know, the heavenly tablets, what they're for. And you have on this same day, the beginning of the 10th month, you have the Jewish people, you know, having Hanukkah on this day. And you wonder, well, how can you be starting the 10th month, but then you having Hanukkah? The only way that you can have Hanukkah today is if you're calculating your months based on the moon. The moon has a 354-day lunation of 12 months, which is a lunar year, of 12 months. So if you are using the moon, you're going to have a 354-day year, or the Jewish people, they just added another month. They just said, we're going to call it Adar 2 when the seasons are out of order. So then you have 383.5 or 384 days, which is way too long in a year. And that will jack up your calendar. So if you're having a Hanukkah today, the only way you can have that today is using the moon. If you're using the moon, you either have your months are too short, which means one year you're going to have your holy days before everybody, or the next year you're going to have it after everybody, which is out of order. And that's that same situation of the relying on earthly wisdom, relying on these Gentiles that have learned our culture and then try to stick their pagan stuff in there and try to regurgitate it back to us and teach us. That's the worst thing we can do, is try to learn our culture from the people that stole it from us, from the people that hid this from us. It's going to be a bad situation. So we want to learn how to depend on the wisdom from above. How do we know which is wisdom from above, and how do we know the difference between earthly and sensual knowledge? Just because it's earthly doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong, but it needs to go in its proper place. So we're going to open up first in Devarim chapter 4, and we're going to see where our wisdom comes from. Deuteronomy chapter 4. And we're just going to read verses 1 through 14.
Can't see. I didn't know what you said though. Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 4. And Mama, I'll give you some time to go ahead and...
Can you cut on that light for her, sister? I was looking kind of dark over there. I was like a new Bible now.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 1. Now therefore hearken, O Yasharal, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers gives you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you.
All right, so you have a lot of people saying, I'm a commandment keeper. I keep the commandments. My assembly, we keep the commandments. Well, are you adding to the word or are you removing from the word? If you're adding or removing, you ain't keeping the commandments. Because it tell you right there, do not add unto it and do not diminish from it so that you can keep the commandments. So we have to understand that, tradition is one thing, but when you make it a commandment and you rebuke somebody and say that they're in transgression of a law, there has to be a law for you to transgress. So these are not commandment keepers that are adding things, that are making burdens on people when it's difficult enough growing up in Babylon, just trying to learn to keep the commandments that are written in this book rather than adding additional things in here.
Brother, you can tell that most of the Pope now is trying to change the Lord's Prayer because he doesn't like the way it reads.
He's trying to change the...
That's right. On the internet, several times already talking about he wants to change the Lord's Prayer because he doesn't think that it should read about leading us into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So he wishes to change it. So he's doing the same thing they say don't do right here. He's going to change something that's already in his book to what he thinks it should be. Uncool.
Yeah, well, he already called himself Papa, Pope.
Well, little Vicar means he said that he's God in the flesh.
Yeah, right. He's the, call no man Father.
That's right.
And he's the Holy Father, according to him. So, what Father is holier than the Most High?
Yep.
I guess the man on earth. Go ahead.
Verse 3, Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 3. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahweh your Elohim has destroyed them from among you.
And even that verse right there is just doesn't make no sense. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh, it says the Lord, did to Lord Peor. So you got Lord here, and then you got Baal Peor, which is another Lord. And you have them all in the same sentence. They playing games. They know what these words are. They remove the name of the Most High in here. Go ahead.
Verse 4. But you that did cleave unto Yahweh your Elohim are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Okay, now have any of us in our lifetime heard any of the nations refer to us as a wise and understanding nation?
No.
Never. I haven't heard one person. I haven't even seen a movie with somebody saying that.
No.
We're not keeping the commandments. This is supposed to be our wisdom. So this is our wisdom and understanding, is these commandments. So this is what we supposed to gain. This is the instructions that we supposed to gain for life, to be wise and knowledgeable in front of the nations. But what we do is we want to be wise and understandable in the eyes of people according to the knowledge that they have. But if we would try our commandments and walk in it as a nation, then they wouldn't be able to deny the blessings that come on us. So they seem wise and understanding because there's no counter to that. There's no nation of people countering the ways of the world that they're doing. So being that they're running the world and we are in subjection because we are not keeping the commandments, why would they think that our laws are wise and knowledgeable when they have never seen an example of a nation of people keeping it? So you can't blame them. Go ahead.
Verse 7. For what nation is there so great who has Elohim so near unto them, as Yahweh your Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day?
And all their laws that we say are, oh, there's such righteous laws, and it just makes sense, these laws that they pass. Where they got it from? They got it right out of this book. Even to the point when you go to court and you're supposed to go before a law, they making you put your hand on the Bible and swear on it. Go ahead.
Only take heed to yourself and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them your sons and your sons' sons, especially the day that you stood before Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. All
right. So when they went and stood in before, these are the commandments. When we were given the commandments and we were making a covenant and the Most High is calling us to us, these are the things that we're supposed to be teaching our children, that do this and do that. Why? Why are we supposed to do this and do that? And those were the answers that our parents couldn't give us. They just said, do it before you get knocked out. That's all we got. But at least we can now teach our children, you need to do this because we are covenanted with the Most High. Our forefathers made a covenant, and your parents made a covenant with the Most High. So we have to do these things, and if we don't, this is what will happen. If we do, they should be able to look around in the household and see what will happen. There should be blessings in that home. Go ahead.
Verse 10. This is verse 11. Mm-hmm. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only you heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land where you go over to possess it.
All right. We can stop right there. Let's go to James chapter 3. Yaakov chapter 3. If you look at those old coins from England and Scotland and all that with King James on it, says Jacobus, because James is a derivative of Jacob or Jacob.
But would you tell the audience about similitude, because a lot of people might not understand about these great images.
Right, similitude. When the Most High approached us, he didn't give us an image for us to try to make the Most High that specific image, because he knew that we have an idealistic heart. We would turn around and make it. Whether he showed up in as a sun, then we'd be walking around with a chain of a sun. If he'd have showed up as a fish, we'd be walking around with a fish. So what he did is said, listen, I don't want you to try to pigeonhole me into anything that I created. Nothing. whether it be Yeshua or whoever he created. I don't want you to pigeonhole that into me and saying this is me, because everything that was ever created is me and came from me. Therefore, it is me. It's just like the cell in your body. That's you. That's not, you know, the greatest part of you, but that's part of you. That's you. All that makes you. All your whole body, everything comes from you. So with the Most High, when he approached us, he warned us about that as well. And that's in Deuteronomy chapter 3, I believe, isn't it? Chapter right before it, where he says, he lets them know point blank, listen, don't take these things that you see, the sun, the moon, the stars, or whatever, and worship them. I didn't give you any similitude. When I showed up to you, all you heard was my voice, and you heard the thunderings and the lightnings. So that's what the elder is alluding to, is to make sure that you understand that the Most High did not give us any kind of image to worship because he knew we would do that, because that's what the nations did. He's trying to separate us from the nations. This is why he's not giving us those type of things. And this is what you can't turn around and take Yeshua, a man, and turn him into a God and say that this is Yahweh. He's just a man just like us that was made to hold the spirit of Yahweh. The difference between him and us is he was made in a different fashion than us. And he was created to be able to hold the spirit the whole time.
Yeah, basically what you're talking about right now, that starts with Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 19, but it really starts at 15 going down. It expresses that point you made in 19.
Right. Right. James, Yaakov, chapter 3.
My brethren, be not many masters, teachers, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man and able to bridle the whole body.
So don't be trying to be a know-it-all. If you don't fully understand something, don't come out here and just, because you want to uphold an image of somebody that knows something. Stay in your lane. If you're not a Hebrew expert, don't sit here and try to get in these Hebrew arguments with people. If you know the ABCs, you basic with it, then stay there and learn and listen to people. And when you know something, study it, master it, and teach that and deal with that. But don't be many masters, because you can't focus on many different things. You'll be jack of all and ace of none. You have other servants. So wherever your lane is, what the Most High has given you the ability, stick with that, develop that to the best you can, and learn from the other people that have been given charges to do that.
Verse 3. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Behold also the ships, which though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, wheresoever the governor lists. Even so, the tongue is a little member, and boasts great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindles. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defiles the whole body, and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell.
All right. So now a lot of times we take that precept as, you say something mean to somebody, or, you cuss somebody out. You can't have bitter water and fresh water out the same source, or you lie to somebody. Well, what about when you misteach somebody? That's a whole, you can destroy the whole body. You got the whole bodies being destroyed now, where you got somebody teaching them that they supposed to use a moon to calculate your month. So you got to pay attention to that as well. That wisdom from above, a lot of that wisdom is being shared, in the scriptures, and then a lot of carnal wisdom and earthly wisdom is being shared from the mouths of teachers. So we got to be careful of the tongue, not only to say something mean to somebody or to, tell somebody a lie because you don't want to get in trouble, but you also got to be careful what you share with people. And that's another reason why it says don't be masters of everything, because you're not going to be able to gain that level of mastery on all of this word, because no man has the power to retain the spirit at all times. So you're not going to understand everything. And when you do understand something, you're only understanding it through darkly shaded glass. You're only getting a little bit of it. Go ahead.
Verse 7. For every kind of beast and of birds, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed, and has been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison.
Because it's connected to pride. Go ahead.
Hold on, I want to say about that. Let me get a little closer. With that same verse, I just wanted to get back up a little bit. You know, my brother was talking about, you know, how, behold, we put bits in a horse's mouth that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. See, that's a living creature.
Right.
So we have to sort of break the creature to obey it. And to put a bit in the horse's mouth, it can give him pain. And the horse doesn't want that pain. So, at the slightest indication of you pulling on the reins, left, right, back, and loosening till he can go forward, he doesn't want that pain. So he's going to remember, at the slightest touch, he's going to obey. See, it's the same deals with humans, except we are harder. Everything in the rest of the world that's living usually will obey if you find the way that it will listen. I remember an old shepherd, elder, said, everything obeys Yahweh, so like stays in this lane, except humans.
Except for us, right.
Humans are at the top of the food chain, but yet we have to be made to listen. We have to be beat down to listen. It's like, when are we all going to learn? If it's time we get beat down, why don't we learn from our mistakes? So we can abide in Yahweh's love and give him his glory he righteously deserves.
Right.
Our problem is when Yahweh tells us something or shows us something, we don't want to stop what we're doing. Because sometimes we think we're more important than him. And we don't realize that's what we're doing. When we don't stop and lean into his understanding, we know how to lean into our own understanding, and we err. It would be great if we were like the disciples in the beginning, when Yeshua came, saw them fishing, doing about their daily business, and they saw him when he called. They just stopped what they were doing and followed him. Didn't even know him. They just saw his spirit and followed him. Maybe one day we'll go back to that. But right now, it is with our brothers and sisters that we have to tarry with each other to help each other deal with the hardness of our hearts and hardness of our minds. Because other than that, we're going to make mistakes all day long, and we won't give Yahweh his glory.
Right.
So I want to bring that point up because a lot of people don't understand what that truly means. They don't go that far. But when you talk about that little helm that everywhere the governor listed on the ship, it obeys unless it's broken. All it has to do is you turn that arm one way or turn it over another way, it returns the ship. If we was on a football field learning from the coach, we keep our eye on him, and everywhere he tells us to move, we move. To right, to left, down, up. Why? We won't allow ourselves to be trained that way when Yahweh tells us, you got to see the white of my eye.
Right. Well, yeah, we listening to that coach, because if we ain't listening, we're going to have to do crabs after practice.
Right.
Or we're going to have to run extra sprints. And that reminds me of our training, Egbe Ogun. You know, we were doing the mat training, and they were showing us a certain move. And they show, you know, where you see the fighter is on the ground, on his back. And everybody's like, oh, it's over. You know, it's this, that, and the other. No, it's not. When that person is lifting up the punch, there's a move where we lift up the waist and we send you flying forward. And I don't care how much the person wants to punch you, their face is heading towards the ground. So the human brain is going to react to avoid pain over the urge to deliver pleasure. The pleasure is he wants to hit you. So almost immediately he's going to put his hand down, and when he puts his hand down, we grab, flip you over. So that explains why we don't see those blessings. The Most High says that we're going to respond to pain. When I gave you the pleasure, you didn't respond to that. You didn't want to respond to that. But you responded to that pain like this. So this is why you got, in Deuteronomy 28, you got like 50-some verses of curses and then just a few verses of pleasure. Because we're going to do whatever we got to do to avoid that pain instead of doing whatever we got to do to receive that pleasure.
Oh, add also to that, brother, because that was excellent dealing with, it also can also give an understanding of Saul when he says that thorn in his flesh.
Right.
That thorn in his flesh kept him humble, because if he probably would not have that thorn in his flesh, he might have got ahead of himself and got himself in trouble.
Felt like he was better than what he was, because
Right.
he'd be saying, I must be perfect because I'm not being afflicted.
Right.
Same thing with Job. Yeah, obviously I'm a perfect man because everything is all good. Well, when you're afflicted, are you going to repent? When you're afflicted, are you going to still serve the Most High, or are we just going to serve him when everything is great?
Verse 7. For every kind of beast and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed and has been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. Therewith we bless Elohim, even the Father, and therewith we curse men which are made after the similitude of Elohim. Out of the same mouth proceeds blessing and cursing, my brethren. These things ought not so to be.
What's that word for curse? Is it imprecate?
Imprecation.
Imprecation. To imprecate, which is to pronounce something wicked on somebody.
Judgment. Is it judgment?
No, it's to pronounce something wicked, like when you want something bad to happen to somebody and you say that in their life.
Hope you fall.
Which is like pronouncing judgment, right?
Verse 11. Does a fountain send forth at the same time, same place, sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descends not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish.
So this wisdom that descends not from above, in other words, it didn't come down from heaven, but it's earthly and sensual and devilish. It's coming from those fallen angels that have come down here. It's not coming from above no more. They here. That's that sensual knowledge. And if it does not give you, it's not shown with a good life. That's what conversation is. It's your behavior, your lifestyle. If it's not backed by a good life, you should be able to see that in somebody's home that's teaching a good behavior. And then when you have bitterness created from your teaching, envying, strife in your hearts, if this is what the knowledge that you're receiving is creating in your assembly or creating in your heart, that's earthly, sensual, and devilish. This is information that's going to make you puff yourself up and feel better about yourself or boast yourself over somebody. But when you're receiving the wisdom that's from above, that's supposed to humble you because you realize how stupid you are and how wrong you've been and how much you don't know. And you're more inclined to want to help people and to help them, saying with an understanding that I was where you were at. I didn't understand this. I didn't know that I was doing wrong. So you want to help somebody. So you're going to approach that differently. But when you deal with that sensual, earthly, devilish knowledge, it gives you that upper hand, like, this almost like with Eve when she was taking the fruit of the tree. This is a knowledge that to be coveted, that, to make you very wise and know this, that, and the other. Did the Most High not give you enough information? And that's the problem. When do we get to a point where the Most High did not give us enough information to have everything that we want in our lives?
Verse 16. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace.
All right, let's go to Job 28. Job chapter 28. So we looked at that wisdom that's from above. And wisdom is to also gain knowledge and understanding. But what is that for? What's the purpose of having it? If you're not using it for the proper purpose, then basically you're going to take something that's heavenly and you're going to put your own personal spin on it so that you can constantly maintain yourself in some kind of superiority or a higher or exalted view of yourself. So you're going to add to it to make it better. You're going to try to twist what's here so you can have that doctrine that's different. You know, you see that a whole lot. Mm-hmm. People always trying to come with some left brain doctrine that, you know, to make themselves like, you got it all wrong. I got this non-salvation information, you know, that's different than what you have. So I got to present it. But then now what comes with all that? Now you got all this bickering and battling and strife being created on something that's not going to change anybody's salvation. Almost like the flat earth situation. Mm-hmm. It's like, bro, the earth is a ball or it's a globe or it's flat. That's going to make you keep the Sabbath day? You know what? I thought the earth was a globe. It's flat now. I'm calling my boss. I'm not coming to work today. It's the Sabbath. That ain't going to change nothing.
It don't match.
It don't change nothing. But you got people arguing, knowledgeable people arguing. You know, I was going to sleep with that brother's wife. But now that I know the earth is flat, somebody might see me across the way or something.
Was going to rob that bank, but the earth is flat now, so maybe the money will roll.
That's what you do in the. That's what you do in the round world. You rob folks, but the flat world
is righteous. Whatever.
Come on, bro. Job chapter 28, or Job chapter 28 and verse 1.
Surely there is a vein for the silver and a place for gold where they refined it. Refine it.
All right.
Sure, iron is taken out of the earth and brass is molten out of the stone. He sets an end to darkness and searches out all perfection, the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaks out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot, they are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it comes bread, and under it is turned up as it were fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. There is a path where no fowl knows, and which the vulture's eye has not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He puts forth his hand upon the rock. He overturns the mountains by the roots. He cuts out rivers among the rocks, and his eye sees every precious thing. He binds the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid brings he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man knows not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth says, it is not in me, and the sea says, it is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchanges of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Where then comes wisdom? And where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears. Elohim understands the way thereof, and he knows the place thereof. For he looks to the end of the earth and sees under the whole heaven.
Oh, see, there's flat earth. The ends of the earth. Go ahead.
Sure. To make the weight for the winds, and he weighs the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain and a way for the lightning of the thunder, then did he see it and declare it. He prepared it, yea, and searched it out. And unto man he said, behold the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom.
So the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom. What will make you fear, which is Yahweh or reverence, the Most High more, is to learn his wisdom, to learn the commandments and what happens if you don't keep the commandments and what happens if you do keep the commandments and the history that he's done for our people. That is your wisdom. These commandments, we just went over that. That's what causes the fear of Yah. Because why would you not want to be in his good grace? Why would you not want to reciprocate the love that he's given you? Because that's true love. When you love somebody, truly, the way the Most High designed love to be, the other person that's being loved is going to want to love you because they're going to be in reverence of the treatment you're giving them, and they're going to have a fear of losing that type of love. Go ahead. Read that whole thing over.
Verse 26.
No, 28.
Oh, 28. And unto man he said, behold the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding.
All right, bingo. That is the key verse right there. The fear of Yahweh is your wisdom and the beginning of knowledge. That comes from Proverbs. And to depart from evil is understanding. So if you have all this knowledge and wisdom of these commandments and you are not departing from evil, you have zero understanding because you missed the whole point of getting this information. So how is sensual knowledge going to help you depart from evil? It's nice to know. It might help you make some money, so it's not like it's bad information. But you don't prioritize that information over learning how to depart from evil. That's what the whole book is about. Depart from evil so you can live forever in peace. It's the whole book, if you sum it up. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. You can have the knowledge of a punch can be thrown. You can have the wisdom of how to teach somebody how to throw a punch. Because you know a punch can be thrown, and you have the wisdom to know how to teach somebody how to throw a punch. But understanding is knowing when to throw the punch, when not to throw the punch. You can go out there and throw 50 punches, and he could just slip, bop, knock you out. That's the understanding. Understanding I need to move. I don't need to be punching the same time he's punching. I need to be moving and positioning myself and let him come into the punch. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And see what the apostles think about this earthly wisdom and how they rank it in life, given all the information in the world, all this understanding to depart from evil that we haven't even scratched the surface of. We're just trying to get up to par. All this information, but we chasing the worldly wisdom and the disciples that are our guides and the apostles that are supposed to help us, be more Christ-like. Let's see how they rank this stuff.
1 Corinthians chapter 3.
Start this at verse 9.
For we are laborers together with Yahweh. You are Yahweh's husbandry, you are Yahweh's building. According to the grace of Elohim, which is given unto me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds thereon. But let every man take heed how he builds thereupon. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahshua Mashiach. Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
So you can expect that once you take the vow and agree to be what you're supposed to be, a servant to the Most High, expect the heat to cut on. Expect the fire to cut on. Don't run from it. Deal with it, because it's trying to burn away your impurities, and it's going to let you know what you're made of. Am I wood, hay, and stubble? Some people get in the fire and they fell away completely. They not dealing with it no more. You know, especially some sisters. They come into, into this word. It's rough on the sisters. And a lot of them, they get into the fire immediately. And when they get in that fire, they burn away. They wood, hay, and stubble. So expect that fire. It's going to help you. This is the same type of baptism that the Mashiach had to deal with. He had to be baptized by fire. Go ahead.
Verse 14. If any man's work abide, which he has built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire.
So what happens when you're put in the fire and you have no works? What burns up? You don't got no works to burn up. You burn up. So this is why one of the best pieces of advice that one of my teachers gave me is find yourself a job. Do something. I don't care what it is. Whether you just sweeping the floor up front, you be the floor sweeper. At least you doing something for the children of Yasharah. So you can get some kind of favor from the Most High to help you be better. So you can train to get a better job. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Know you not that you are the temple of Yahweh, and that the spirit of Elohim dwells in you? If any man defile the temple of Yahweh, him shall Elohim destroy. For the temple of Yahweh is holy, which temple you are.
So we are the temple of Yahweh. In other words, his spirit dwells in us. That belongs to him. So we can't defile that temple because it don't belong to us. It's just like if your job give you something, a computer at work, and issue you that computer. You can't be in there putting viruses on there and putting all these video games and, scratching it up and pouring juice on it, whatever. You're going to lose your job, or they're going to take it out your check. It don't belong to you. That's how our bodies are. It's in our care because we are workers for somebody. So it's in his care. And then we have to also understand we are Elohim's husbandry. We are his vineyard, what he's planting. So part of your work is to cultivate what was given unto you. So whatever talent you have, whatever skill set you have, whatever ability you have, whatever carnal order you were born in, whether you're a man or you're a woman or you're a Gentile or you're an Israelite, develop that temple. That is part of your works. And it's going to be put in the fire. So as soon as you say, you know what, I'm not that old man no more. I washed myself up. I've been regenerated. I'm trying to change. And I'm trying to stay away from those old ways. Expect the fire to cut up. Expect it to come, because this is part of your development process. When you have your lawn outside and it starts to get messed up and you want to develop it and get it better, you got to set that thing on fire so you can put nitrogen in the soil, so you can grow new grass in the springtime. So this is what we go through. And we have to also remember our works isn't always just, I painted a wall in church, or, I did a documentary. Your works is also working on yourself, investing in yourself, studying, using the little bit of knowledge and wisdom you have to depart from evil. That is your works as well. That is also part of, developing that husbandry that the Most High gave you.
Verse 18. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seems to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise.
So let him become a fool. A fool doesn't know anything. He's ignorant. So let him become ignorant to the point where every time he hears somebody speak, he's like a fool. Like, let me, and that's kind of Greek kind of word that they're using here, but more from the understanding of let me act like I don't know anything in case there's something I can glean from that. Because the guy that thinks he knows everything, he's going to miss the little jewel that Yahweh done sent a baby to come give you, or Yahweh done sent a Gentile to tell you something that's going to help you in your works better. But because you feel like you know everything, that's what you're going to be, the guy that know everything. Well, if you know everything, you got your cup can't fill it, can't put anything more in your cup. Go ahead.
Verse 19, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohim. For it is written, he takes the wise in their own craftiness. And again, Yahweh knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Therefore, let no man glory in men, for all things are yours. Whether Saul, Paul, or Apollos, or Cephas, or the world, or life, or death, or things present, or things to come, all are yours. And you are Mashiach's, and Mashiach is Yahweh's.
And that's one of the adversary's biggest tricks, is to convince you that this stuff don't already belong to you. So steal for it, lie for it, put it over your salvation. The meek shall inherit the earth. If we keep these commandments and we trust the Most High, we will get everything we want, and it will belong to us forever. So this is the same tactic he used for us. We not the first. He did this to the prototype. He took it to him right after he fasted for spiritual reasons. He said, look, all this is given unto me. He lied. It's not given unto him. He took it and decided he wanted to do what he wanted to do. Yahshua owned all this. He created it. How you going to say you're going to go to Gerald Ford, the guy who created Ford Motors, and say, hey, look, man, these Ford trucks belong to me. You know, this design. I'm going to sell you the design for Ford. He gonna look at you like you stupid. What do you mean? I own this. I own the patent. I created this. Well, actually, he stole it from somebody too. Ford did. But either way, yeah, he stole it from a brother. But either way, you get the point. How you gonna argue with the creator and say that, you know, you're gonna try to give him something back? So at the end of the day, don't fall in the same trap. Yahshua gave us the example. Nah, get away from me. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. You worship Yahweh and worship nobody else. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 4. We're just going to read 1 through 8. And what you're going to see a lot is you're going to see a lot of people that are chasing this sensual knowledge and this earthly knowledge. And a lot of that earthly knowledge is, how can I make some more money? How can I get more material things? And to do that, you got to place those things above. You know, you got to place the gift over the gift giver. And what you're going to get with that eventually, because you're not going to be satisfied with these things, is you're going to start pushing further and further away from the truth in order to try to get things the way the world shows you how to get things. But it's kind of a double entendre as an issue, because, yeah, you can try to do the things that the world does to get those things, but the world ain't in a covenant. So while they doing the wickedness, and they going to pay in the long run, don't get me wrong, you're going to reap what you sow. But we getting 7 times the punishment for doing exactly the same things that they're doing. So we're at 2 Timothy, and we're going to read chapter 4, verses 1 through 8.
I charge you, therefore, give everyone a chance to.
Okay. 2 Timothy is like right before Hebrews and James and Peter and 1 John.
So it's a little after Corinthians, it's after Ephesians, it's after Colossians.
About three or four books from where we just were.
Mm-hmm.
And we got one more reading after this. Then we'll go ahead and feast. 2 Timothy, or 2 Timotheus, chapter 4, and we're just reading 1 through 8.
I charge you, therefore, before Elohim and the Master Yahshua Mashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom, preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears.
So they don't want to hear the things that are going to cause them to depart from evil, to cause them to gain wisdom, which is to fear Yahweh, which is the beginning of all knowledge. So they want to hear things that they can impress people with, that they can come and tell you, well, this is how I know the earth is flat. Let me show you 15 scriptures where it says the ends of the earth. You know, yeah, he took them to a high mountain and he showed them all the kingdoms of the earth. The only way you can see that if the earth is flat. So Yahshua wouldn't be a prophet too? Would he not see things in visions too? No, they don't think about that. They want to know all this great sensual knowledge. And that's what causes people to not endure sound doctrine. Because sound doctrine, you heard that all the time. Fear Elohim and keep the commandments. So we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. We hear that over and over and over again. So that what that causes, it causes people not to endure sound doctrine. And now their ears are constantly looking for the teachers that are going to teach us something that they can get on Facebook and make a post to somebody and look real smart. All the meanwhile, their household is in turmoil. Their life is in turmoil. They're depressed. They're getting oppressed while being depressed.
Verse 4. For they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. But watch you in all things, endure afflictions, and do the work of an evangelist. Make full proof of your ministry.
Make full proof. Prove these things. Get in these scriptures. Show people why you believe what you believe so you can help somebody. Now you can show them a source. This is not sensual knowledge. This is coming from above. This is in the ancient scriptures. And then the letters are referring to ancient scriptures. Go ahead.
Verse 6. For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Master, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing.
All right. Yeah, all those that love his appearing. You not finna love his appearing when he show up with that flaming sword and them eyes is red and there's fire. That ain't gonna be no love there, because you know, uh-oh, this time is over. This ain't what I was expecting. I was expecting the blonde hair, blue eye guy with the you know, the toga on, looking like he done went Greek, you know. So we want to make sure that we can look eye to eye with Yahshua when he comes back, because we can say, I know him. I know him because he's this word. I've been working with you, and I know the mercy that is built inside of this word with all that repentance that's in here. So we'll be happy to see him if we live our lives the right way. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Yaakov chapter 1. James chapter 1. James is another few scriptures down.
James, Yaakov, chapter 1, verse 1. James.
And we're going to read this through verse 12.
A servant of Yahweh and of the Master Yahshua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
I don't think I've ever heard them read that in church. At least not in the Catholic church where I was raised. They just, it's not in the book that they have, whatever. Them pages stuck together. He's point blank saying, Yaakov, a servant of Elohim and of Yahshua HaMashiach, the Adonai, to the 12 tribes. Where are they? which are scattered abroad, greeting. So I saw somebody post something saying, can somebody post some scripture showing me that, people from Kenya are Hamites? I say, bro, the book, I didn't say anything, but I was thinking to myself, the whole book say we scattered everywhere. So why wouldn't they be in Kenya? Everybody in Kenya ain't a Hamite. We fled all through Africa, wherever we can get away from people trying to kill us. And what will we try to do? Blend in so that we don't get killed. But that's, again, that carnal, flesh and blood that goes with the class we just did. Flesh and blood will not inherit the kingdom. Worried about the wrong things. Can anybody tell me how to keep the commandments? Show me in the scriptures where I can keep these commandments. Some kind of questions we should be asking.
But that same verse, it's also expounded in John chapter 7, verse 35. And it says, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we should not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles?
And teach them, right.
And teach the Gentiles. So that also talks about us.
So we're at James for the conclusion. James chapter 1. Go ahead and start that over.
Jacob, James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Master Yahshua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
I don't know why, I just love the way that sounds. I just would start greeting people like that in my classes.
Sound like validation. Like, he's like, I feel you. I know what y'all going through. Shalom.
Brother Yadon and Brother Yonatan.
Shalom.
To the 12 tribes scattered abroad. I might make that my intro, man.
Or be like, what part of the diaspora are you from, my brethren that scattered abroad? Jamaica? Panama? The U.S.?
What ship stop?
Like he know, like he felt it, like he understand what we've been going through. Man. My brethren, count it all joy.
Brethren.
Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations and when the Gentiles pull you into slavery.
Right. All these various trials that you go to, count it joy, because these trials that you go through is what teaches you how to depart from evil.
Indeed.
You ain't gonna know how to depart from evil if you ain't seen it.
Verse 3, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If I could, go back in some of this backstory as to him greeting all these Hebrews that are scattered abroad. You think about why they've been scattered abroad and what it means. Yah said that if you disobey these commandments, I'm going to scatter you into all nations, and you're going to be servants to those who have hated you.
Right.
So now he's like, look, I'm going to just let you know, like, we know what's about to happen.
Right.
And we understand what's going down. Right now, the Romans just conquered the Greeks who was over us, who conquered the Persians that were over us as well. So, look, we fall into all these hands, different nations. Let me let y'all know something. This is going to have to perfect you.
Right.
But let the trials work its perfect work in perfecting y'all as a nation. Don't lose hope.
Right. Because they had a hard enough time in Israel around themselves.
Yes.
With just, people on the outside coming in, strangers with the strange doctrine. But now you being occupied in your own, just like, many of the brothers and sisters that were here that didn't come by slave ships. You had some brothers that were already here that got here earlier, that got here by the route of Ezra, that's in Cedrus. Some of those people came here, they weren't slaves when they were here at first, but they sure enough went in slavery when we came here. That's how it feels to them. They're being occupied in the land that they were here before. So it's a frustrating situation to be in that and be occupied and then have to fight off the traditions of the people that are occupying you, because you kind of want to not assimilate because you don't want to be oppressed. So if they're like, yeah, we're going to bow down to this grove, you'll be like, okay, this Christmas tree. You'll be like, well, they seem happy, and I don't want to get oppressed. So you'll find yourself doing that. That's a temptation. It's a temptation that you have to fight. And we done turn these things from temptations. We're not a temptation no more. This is our way of life.
Verse.
A lot of our family members, they can't get rid of that, though.
Verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Elohim that gives to all men liberally and upbraids not, and it shall be given him.
All right. So people like to take that out of context. I ain't going to study with nobody. I ain't going to listen to no teacher. I ain't going to be part of no camp. I ain't going to be part of no assembly. I'm just going to watch YouTube and watch a man teach me. You doing the same thing. Or I'm not going to listen to nobody. I'm just going to read the book to myself, and he's just going to, through osmosis, I'm just going to learn everything. Well, then why would he create priests? Why would he create teachers? Why would he make evangelists? Why would he need a servant if he's just going to telepathically, like those alien movies, just teach you everything? It don't make no sense. It's selfishness. You don't want to humble yourself to somebody and allow yourself to be taught. That don't mean you have to let everybody teach you. If you ask the Most High to give you that wisdom, he's going to send you somebody to give you that wisdom, or he's going to send you understanding to help you understand enough so you can find somebody that can help you get some better understanding. But you don't get it twisted. You're going to learn from somebody. And it don't have to be a teacher, but it's going to be somebody that you're going to learn things from. And it might be a whole group of people. Go ahead.
Verse 6. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavers is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of Yahweh. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as a flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withers the grass, and the flower thereof falls, and the grace of the fashion of it perishes. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which Yahweh has promised to them that love him.
All right. And again, he read tried because the Most High doesn't tempt us with things. Again, that's that English translation. He tries us like gold is tried in the fire. He puts you in the fire to burn away those impurities. He's not trying to tempt you like, here, go ahead and sin. That's not what he's trying to do. But when you read the English translations, which is translated from the Greek in this part here, you can have those contradictions. And I guarantee when you look in this book, if somebody brings a contradiction, it's in the language translation. It's not in the actual precept that's being given. So that's all we're going to do today. Again, we just want to keep that focus, not to say that you can't learn things that are outside of this word, that are outside of learning how to depart from evil, but put it in its proper place. Understand that your focus in life is not to gain a bunch of things in life, but it's to gain your salvation and help your brothers and sisters and build your nation. Perfect Yah's husbandry, perfect his temple, play your part in the prophecy. Now, nobody want to be that part of the 2/3. That's part of prophecy. So if you don't want to be part of those 2/3, then focus on that wisdom from above, because he says if you want that wisdom, ask for it. He'll give it to you. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close? All right. All brothers remove their head coverings, and all sisters pray with their heads covered. And we're going to face the east towards Jerusalem. Our Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yahshua, we thank you, Yahweh, once again for bringing us into another new month, Yahweh. You have given us 9 months of a beautiful year. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations, but the end result has been the same, Yahweh. You've been merciful, and you have led us down this narrow path away from our own downfalls that we put before ourselves, Yahweh. And we're thankful, Yahweh. We're thankful that you are bringing us into a new season, Yah. We're thankful that you have given us awareness to now know how to calculate your months, Yahweh, to the best of the information that you've given us. And we're thankful that you are allowing us to see these changes in our lives, Yahweh, to understand that life is also full of seasons in our lives, and not to make rash decisions or get downtrodden because of the particular season. Because Yahweh, if we repent, we trust that you will allow these seasons to change just like the seasons change in this earth, Yahweh. We do not doubt that those seasons change, so we should not doubt that those seasons in our life will change as well. And if we want to move, Yahweh, out of certain seasons in our lives, then we have to continue moving forward and not waver, Yahweh. For like we read, the man that wavers, Yahweh, should not ask Yah, he will not be granted, Yah. So we're thankful, Yahweh, for the mercy that you have given us. We're thankful for the knowledge and wisdom. We're thankful for the brothers and sisters and family that you've given us, Yahweh, to help support us, to help keep us in the way, and for us to help support and keep works under our belts as well, Yah. All these things we humbly come before you. We thank and pray, and we feast in your honor. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen.